Hi, Russell Sturgis with my new blog. I'm doing a series at the moment on stillness, and this is the second in the series. Last time in our blog and video I looked at what stillness was in the big picture and sort of identified that when we come to that place of awareness which results in stillness, we have a consciousness that becomes more aligned with empathy and compassion. And so what we are able to witness is a shift in terms of how we engage who we are physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And in the last blog, I talked about the fact that in emotion, there's a greater sense of empathy and compassion. Mentally, there's a desire for forgiveness and mercy, and spiritually, the priority becomes about being a peacemaker. Excuse me. So over the next few blogs, I'm going to be looking at who we are in our awareness and stillness as it relates to how we turn up physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And in that last blog, I didn't talk about the physical implications of that. And so today, I'm discussing how stillness presents itself in the place of who we are physically, and how awareness plays a part in that. And of course, that whole notion that when we're aware and when we're in stillness automatically results in compassion and empathy, what we begin to realize is that that state of compassion and empathy translates to the material world, translate to who we are physically in the world in which we live in. And so that's what I want to sort of touch on today as we take a moment to have a look at this idea. In the article that I've written, I sort of propose several situations where people have this really clear sense of separation between who they are in consciousness and who they are physically. And I give some examples. Out-of-body experiences where people clearly have this sense that there's a differentiation between what they're experiencing in the physical world and that part of them that's able to step back and witness that. As early as the 80s, Dr. Moody was writing about the idea of near-death experiences, and there's been a lot of books written about that since then, which once again really helped to perpetuate this whole idea that there's a separation between consciousness and what's going on in the body. The fact that people from a different vantage point are able to watch what's going on and see resuscitation activities being carried out by doctors and nurses that unless you were external to the body, you would have no idea what's going on, and that they're able to describe all of these things that are happening from this other vantage. Astral experience, where people have astral experiences where there's a part of their conscious that they claim goes off and experiences a completely different reality, and that they're aware of re-entering and reconnecting with the body. And I actually give a couple of examples from my own experience, which I don't know that I'm absolutely clear about, but all I've done is related what I experienced. And one of the ones that people often talk about is when they're in trauma situations or in situations where there's like a car accident. And I give an example of a car accident that I had travelling from Bathurst down to South Australia, and in trying to avoid some kangaroos on the highway, I lost control of the car and ended up rolling several times. And I'm sure some of you have been in similar situations where everything all of a sudden goes into slow motion. And it's nearly like there's a part of you that steps back and is watching you in this place of slow motion. And it's like there's a stillness, and all of a sudden the sounds, which in normal sound would have been horrific as the metal and glass was smashing and crashing and thumping and all that's going on. But in my experience, it was quiet. There was this place of stillness. There was this place where I was removed from what the body was experiencing, and in the place of the observer, there was quietness, and there was stillness. I mean, it's quite bizarre when you think of the paradox of that, when you think that these two worlds were being experienced simultaneously. And ultimately, stillness is a parallel reality, so that when we start to make choices to be more and more aware, what happens is we find ourselves being able to relate to what's happening around us from this very quiet, from this very still situation. And there's no frenetic energy, there's no worry, there's no upset. There's no, at the other extreme, there's no happiness or excitement either in these places. What happens is we see that those things are contained within the experience of the body, and whatever it is about us that is awake or aware is able to step back and witness what is going on within the body. So as we come into this place of being more aware, and as we are able to fully immerse ourselves into this experience of being still, we have this capacity to be much more clear of what's happening around us, and more so because we don't have any of our own personal filters distorting what it is that we see. And in that clarity of being able to see what is around us, we're able to relate to those things in a much more profound way. So instead of being caught up in the busyness of our mind, we get to see the beauty of a flower. We get to smell the roses. We get to watch a bird and hear its call. We get to take in the beauty of the stars and the moon. We get to enjoy the stillness or the aggression of the ocean in terms of its whole array in how it turns up, which can be from moment to moment, day to day, week to week. So what happens is that we begin to start to relate to our external world very differently, and so as well as our internal world. And so in the blog I talk about the fact that we have a different relationship to food and exercise and intimacy. We have a different relationship to our possessions and our money and the planet itself, in terms of how we relate to the planet and all of its critters. And of course, aging and death takes on a whole different perspective. And during the course of my article, I write about each of these and the whole notion that there's an element of how we can approach those things through awareness that results in us experiencing those things with a great sense of stillness. So what happens is that the more aware we become, the less we are fearful, the less we worry. So the things that cause us to panic, the things that cause us to become fretful, the things that have us be anxious, dissolve. And as those things start to disappear, the experience is replaced with stillness. And what happens is, with the greater capacity for us to be aware, and of course one of the ways that we're able to develop the ability to do that is through, for example, learning meditation. It becomes the gym of learning how to practice being the observer, being in that place of awareness. The natural extension of being in that is this ability to be in stillness. Of course, from the perspective of EAP, it's also about the fact that we've identified what our story is and understand the impact that story has in taking us out of our stillness, in having us be in these places of being anxious and separated and lonely and angry and frustrated and all the other things that we experience that isn't in stillness. In our physical world, we have the capacity to live a life based on stillness, particularly when we become much more clear about our noble purpose. When you're engaged in your noble purpose, there is less concern, there is less anxiety, there is less fear, there is less worry. Those things, when I say less, those things disappear eventually, and we're able to live a life that is still. And this isn't about sitting still cross-legged. This is about engaging life fully with purpose and with engagement, with compassion and empathy, all the while maintaining that inner stillness, that inner peace. So I hope you enjoy the blog that I've written. Over the next few weeks, we're going to explore stillness as it relates to who you are mentally, emotionally and spiritually. And hopefully we give you a really lovely understanding of what stillness looks like in all of its different dimensions of human consciousness. Anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll speak to you next time. Oh, by the way, if you want to know more about what it is that we do, go to our Facebook page, Enhances Awareness program. And if you'd like to know more about our what we do, go to our website, eapmentor.com. Anyway, thank you, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.